So I actually just made a video about my thoughts on Vanguard and Springfest and Vanguard in general. But I think it's also about time that I kind of talked about what Bushiroad is and the major mistakes that I think they've made in the past couple years. First and foremost, of course, is being a company that focuses on more casual, serious card games. And I think that that's actually a very ironic thought process because it disinterests I think of myself more as a I wouldn't say I'd say semi-hardcore casual player. I don't play necessarily for the wins. I've never actually won a tournament in my life. Maybe the closest I've gotten to is maybe like second in in one of my locals, but that was about it. Um, but for Bushiroad in general, I think the fact that they decide to short print their sets is a definite demerit for what they can do. I do think that it makes on certain levels of sense for Weiss because these are anime sets. They're not going to print them if the set loses popularity. That basically what that is that they are basing it off of the popularity of a series. They're going to be if since all of them are based around anime and not necessarily original content, they're going to base how much they want to print not only on how um, the set sells, but also on how popular the anime is. Because so like in the case of like a good case would be maybe like printing sets based on One Piece or maybe actually Demon Slayer is a better way of looking at it. I know that Demon Slayer is not in Weiss, but in a I think what was it Build Divide. But since in Demon Slayer's case for them, if they see an anime that is very popular, they're going to constantly make product for it. And this is actually a disclaimer from me. When I originally tried playing Weiss, I think I had a Love Life deck. I actually did not enjoy the game per se because I felt like the game was secondary to the anime. I felt like it was more like anime goods in TCG form as opposed to an actual trading card game. And I'll admit that those feelings have never fully disappeared, but I actually actively do understand the fun of the game. You're it's not that you're free to build any deck, but it's actively built on something that you have a background in. Whereas in the case of Vanguard, the card game is the original, not the anime, not the manga. Those are kind of like I feel like those are maybe secondary to the actual card game. And whereas Yu-Gi-Oh, the exact opposite, where it's the manga that came first, or it was it might have been card game first, and then a manga followed it. But we got the card game. I think we didn't get the card. I think it was about the same kind of time. Again, I haven't made notes on this kind of things. This is just me, my ideas. Um, but for, and then it's the same. Like I would take a look at Also, I take a look at Buddy Fight and look at the fact that they also do not do many reprints of stuff. So one of the biggest problems that Buddy Fight specifically had was that a lot of cards would actively get sold out very quickly and remain sold out for the majority of their span. I remember trying to build a Tyrant deck, and the one card that I was looking for, I believe it was Armor Knight Buster Cerberus Ace, was sold out for a majority of the time that I was actually looking for it. And it was sold out, and the original price of it was like $2. So that's one of the big things I think of when I think of Vanguard and Weiss. Weiss less so, but Vanguard in general. Um, Stuff should not go up in price solely because the support came out. And a lot of cases, what will happen is the support comes out, and then people will buy it out and then sell it for more. And realistically, there's a chance that the support that you get may actually be pretty minor. Like in sets, I believe it was set 6, we got support for Jewel Knight, so Jewel Knight prices go up a little bit. But the only support that I actively remember for that one was a quintet wall that utterly sucks. So it's not really good support. I know I remember Hyaki Vogue getting bought out at $3 right before that set came out. I think it was set three. Let's see. I think it was set three that they released some Hyaki Vogue support for that one. And while the stride was good in and of itself, it wasn't, I don't feel like it was good enough to validate selling Hyaki Vogue Reverse at about $16 to $20 a pop. And it's the same thing for whatever, that's the same thing that we've had for the entirety of Vanguard, where cards will go down in price until support comes out, and then they'll jump by like 300 to 500%. But going back to like reprint ideas, Bushiroad has had a very, very poor track record of actively making reprints of anything. Like, for example, it took them, during the first portion of, actually during Legion is a better way to look at it. The Gustin PGs were $40 to $50 a piece. Only one place to get them, no other reprints, and they were in a very old set, so not necessarily gainable through. You could try and get them, but they weren't. I don't feel like they were necessarily worth 40 to 50. Then again, PGs at that time were very expensive. But it's this. I think Bushiroad Buddy Fight is actually a better way of looking at it, because in the 6 years that they had their set, they only made one reprint set, and that was very close to before they canceled the game. And they put bits and pieces every now and then, but a card should not be, if a common card is $20 a pop, that might be something to look at, because of the fact that it is actively something that if it's sold out at that price, and the only way that players can get them that is in a specific set, then there's a chance that it's a better way, it's a worth reprinting it in another set. It's the same case with the Great Nature Crayon Tiger, where for 6 years the card stayed at around $25, $30 a pop until it got reprinted in the Revival Collection. And there are always moments when I ask, why didn't you do this sooner? And as from a business standpoint, I understand it. You constantly look and see what is selling, and then, or what is actively people want, or actively the most expensive cards, and then you put them in a new set and sell that and say, this is a way for you to get the cheaper side. But at the same time, it's kind of like saying, we know that you want this card, but we're going to give you this instead. And then finally, like 5-6 years down the road, hey, you still want that card? Well, here's a cheaper version of it. So actively, I've always kind of had the joke in my mind that Yu-Gi-Oh reprints way too much, and Bushiroad reprints too little. But the realistic truth is that reprints are active. As long as the reprints don't tank the value of cards, then it's fine. Like, they're always going to tank the value to a certain level, but a $25 card should not drop to like $3 just because the reprint came in at a quarter. I do understand that would be a valuable thing, but it's not the most valuable. So that's it for the card games. I think the second and biggest thing that I feel like is Bushiroad really doesn't do enough advertisement, or at least they don't advertise much outside of Japan. For Japan, especially from the pictures of Akihabara that I've seen, these stores are massive billboards. But then again, they're massive stores anyways. But it's the fact that they put up gigantic posters. They'll put up on screens saying, we now have this. Their windows are layered with posters of the newest, latest and greatest games. And here, the only thing that I've seen recently, outside of going to a specific card shop, is the commercials they have during their anime. And if you're just a card player, you don't have any real interest in the anime or stopped watching it, you're not going to see their commercials. You just have to keep updated onto when sets release. So I do believe that Bushiroad could be doing more with their PR department. They could possibly start putting, I don't know if they're doing more than what I'm saying, but it definitely does feel like they're trying to compete with the top three games here. So I think of it as Magic, Pokemon, and Yu-Gi-Oh! By doing the same things, but not realizing that there are card shops that are not going to be interested in promoting a product that they don't necessarily have the time to promote. They don't have, if Friday night's Magic, Saturday's Yu-Gi-Oh, and then Sunday is Pokemon, they only really have Monday through Thursday, and none of those days are active at their normal store that's open from 10 till 8. They're not necessarily going to be able to bring in the crowd that they want. But if it's also the case that if you're working a job, you may not want to go to a tournament after. You want to go to the tournament on the weekend. What I would say that they are, I do definitely feel like they are trying to turn away from certain aspects. I do feel like I don't know if they're turning away, but I think they're more in, because they might not be looking at necessarily the whole world. They might be comparing everything to what Japan has because there's a bigger card. I feel like there is a bigger card game scene. The fact that they've created multiple different card games that may have failed within 4 years, but also the fact that they have card shops that actively have multiple sections, possibly one for a specific game, one for store side for specifically sleeves. Again, I've been to Japan, but I never went into a card shop back then. Um, this is again a opinion on what Bushiroad has done. If anyone wants to correct me, feel free. If anyone wants to criticize what I'm saying, by all means, leave it constructive. I don't mind listening to people as long as they have something that they can say constructively, not necessarily you're an idiot for what you're saying. I get the fact that there are a lot of people who will say that. Um, but I do feel like Bushiroad as a card game company is actively shooting themselves in the foot by what they're doing. They're killing the anime series. They're short printing it. I get the reason behind it, but they're also making it harder and harder for stores to necessarily get stuff in. For Vanguard, they've rebooted the series twice in 10 years, and that's not a good thing for any card game series whatsoever, especially with the fact that two of the reprints happened kind of back to back. Buddy Fight, I will actually say Buddy Fight for another series, but I do think that that was a poorly designed game. And then I really don't have to talk about Dragoborn. I don't think any of their 1 year card games are really not worth saying. They put effort into it. They put some effort into it, created it, saw that it didn't work, and then said, we're done with it. But that's it for that one. Thank you.